So the other day, I made a series of posts on my Instagram, as I always do, where I was talking about addiction, right, and how addiction forms. And I pointed out that food addiction is a very real thing. Anyone that tells you otherwise doesn't understand addiction. So let me point something out to you real quick if you disagree. Did you know, and you can look this up, there are people who get addicted to the sensation of drinking water? What? Yes. There are people who are addicted to water, okay, and they actually develop an addiction to the sensation of drinking water, and therefore these people actually die as a result of this sometimes because they develop hyponatremia. So they've drank so much water that they've diluted their blood. If you can get addicted to the sensation of swallowing water, why on earth do you think that someone couldn't get addicted to the sensation of anything else? You could be addicted to the sensation of chewing gum. I'm always chewing gum. I think it's just a bad habit, to be honest with you. But anyways, you can be addicted to anything. I'm addicted to crunchy foods. I'm addicted to salty foods. I'm addicted to sweet tastes or, whatever it is, okay? People get addicted to a sensation. I remember reading something where a woman was addicted to eating toilet paper, not because she likes toilet paper or the flavor of toilet paper, but because of the consistency and the texture of chewing toilet paper. So, we're going to tell people that food addiction isn't a real thing and you can't be addicted to a food. Yet, people can be addicted to drinking water. Not all drugs are addictive. But not all addictions are drugs either. People have gambling addiction. People have porn addiction. People are addicted to things. It doesn't matter what it is. In fact, actually, one of the things I find particularly interesting is some of the research around smoking. People aren't even that addicted to the nicotine as much as they are to the routine and the habit of basically sucking on something. So when they quit the nicotine, or you give them a nicotine patch so they have the nicotine, they still require the habit of putting something in their mouth and drawing on it. So they give them like fake cigarette type things to just suck on. Interesting. Right, okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, food addiction, okay, any addiction for that matter, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, most of the time addictions form as a result of conditioning. So, you have classical conditioning and operant conditioning, right? And typically what you will find, and this is just a discussion of the existing research, none of this is my opinion, none of this is earth-shattering either. So if you've read the research, then you understand this. People are typically trying to escape a negative feeling. And therefore, it is what's called negative reinforcement. So you feel bad, you drink some alcohol, and that bad feeling goes away. You now have a negative reinforcement, as in the reinforcer is the fact that the negative feeling went away. You have pain. Oh my God, my knee hurts so bad. I take the opioid and the pain goes away. Negative reinforcement. This pain is now gone. That's how addictions start. You can watch a documentary called Prescription Thugs, okay? And a lot of people, this opioid epidemic is very real and very serious. A lot of people got addicted to opioids because they had an injury or a surgery. They took the painkiller to get rid of the pain, negative reinforcement, and then developed a chemical dependency on the drug, okay? What I find, though, is what perpetuates an addiction. Some people use these drugs and they don't have any issue. Some people use these drugs and they do have an issue. Some people alcohol, some people tobacco, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Your addiction to gambling, for that matter, or shopping. Binge eating is where I'm going to head with this, okay, because of food addiction. But the majority of addiction and addictive behaviors tend to come from an emotional need or a psychological need that is not being met. I will prove this to you very quickly, okay? It is not a physiological need. You do not have a physiological need for alcohol. You do not have a physiological need for nicotine. And I know someone's going to say, but there's a physiological need for food. That's correct. However, when we observe what people get addicted to in terms of food addiction, and we observe what people binge on, people are binging on hyperpalatable foods. People binge on chocolate. People binge on potato chips. People binge on ice cream. People binge on cheesecake. People would binge on pleasurable foods. Now, I have binged. Let me tell you a story about binging. So I've been through multiple courses like this where I had to go 10 days without eating as part of this survival course. At the end of the survival course, okay, they gave us a piece of cheese, like a Kraft single, on 2 slices of white bread. I probably ate 15 or 20 of those. I was hungry. That's a physiological need. 10 days without food, I was eating literally a slice of cheese on 2 pieces of white bread. Right. Not your typical binge. Most people binge by having something like chocolate. I'm going to eat a whole bag of Lindor truffles. I'm going to eat a whole, I don't know, whatever, bag of Hershey mini bars or something. Not too many people sit around eating white bread. Okay. Another time I went through one of these courses, and I believe that one was also 10 days without eating. Might have been 9, though. Might have been like 9.5 days. And at the end of the whole thing, they gave us plain white rice. Because they warned us, you can't just start eating right again. Because if you just start eating regular food right away, right again, like you're just going to get sick. And so they fed us plain white rice. Okay. Actually, your options were what's called BRAT, the BRAT diet. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. It's bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. Anyways, I didn't have any interest in the bananas, the applesauce, or the toast, but the white rice, I don't even know how much white rice I sat down and ate. It was ridiculous. I must have eaten white rice, just plain white rice, like nonstop for like an hour straight. I was just so hungry. Not your typical binge. People don't typically sit down and just eat plain white rice. You might binge on, I don't know, Cocoa Krispies or something. You might binge on chocolate-flavored Quaker rice cakes or something. Not too many people just sit down and eat plain white rice for an hour straight. That's a physiological hunger. You haven't eaten in 10 days. Now, when it comes to binging and food addiction, how many days have you gone without eating? Maybe you've gone a few hours. You had breakfast, you had lunch, you had dinner, and now you're sitting around at night, feeling shitty, dealing with negative emotions, and you say, I'm going to go get some Ben & Jerry's. So you go to the grocery store and you get a whole bunch of ice cream, and you sit down and you eat it all. Why? Because it helps you escape the negative emotion that you were dealing with. This is that unmet emotional psychological need. You did not have a physiological need for 10,000 calories of Ben & Jerry's. You had a how can I explain this? You developed a physiological symptom, like the hunger thing, right? Because of the fact that you had this unmet emotional and psychological need. So the real problem was this unmet emotional psychological need. And you interpreted that as, I need to just go eat something. Why? Because eating something made you feel better and helped you avoid that emotional thing, right? It's kind of like this. A different way of thinking of this is like, we've heard people talk about, like, if you're hungry, drink water. A lot of times you're actually just thirsty, but we're so piss poor at recognizing hunger versus thirst that we eat when we're actually just thirsty, right? You've probably heard that before. Well, I'm going to try to like make a parallel here and say that what you're dealing with is you have this unmet emotional, psychological thing, this emotional hunger, if you will. And now you say to yourself, well, if I eat something, it'll get rid of it. Because it's a distraction. That's what it really is. It's a distraction. It's kind of like, you know, when you look at people that binge, it's like you ate 500 calories of cookies. Are you really, truly hungry right now? Like, are you really, truly in a physiological state of deprivation? No. So then why do you eat the whole rest of the bag? It's the go, no-go thing. We have this binary, right? It's like, well, I had one, I might as well have 12. But you're not eating to satiety. In fact, most of the time whenever people binge, they feel sick afterwards. They're bloated and they don't feel well. They ate so much, their hands swell up, but they feel sick. Whenever you eat because you're hungry and you stop because you're no longer hungry, you're satiated, you don't feel sick. When you eat because you have an unmet emotional or psychological need, the problem is that eating doesn't fill that need. Therefore, you continue eating, and you continue eating to the point where now you're sick. And now you have an unmet psychological, emotional need, and you feel guilty and you feel bad for having binged. So is food addiction a real thing? Yeah, absolutely. Because people turn to the same comfort food over and over and over again. Like, you can predict it. You know, I dated a girl, and anytime that she was dealing with some type of emotional issue or whatever, you know, her thing was to go out and get Reese's peanut butter cups. Okay. Actually, I could go through practically every single girl I've ever dated. They all had some food that was their favorite food. Why was that your favorite food, and why was that the one thing you would overeat on? You know, it's not like you ever saw them overeat on chicken breast and broccoli. You didn't overeat on, you know, ground beef and pasta. But when you overeat, maybe it was ice cream. Maybe it was Reese's Cups, you know. Maybe it was Hershey Kisses, right? Chocolate's a big one. Women love chocolate. That's not just a stereotype. There's a whole bunch of reasons why women respond well to chocolate. It has a whole bunch of neurological effects. So it isn't just some weird stereotype. What you'll find, though, is that people binge on foods that are hyper palatable and taste good. They're foods that make you feel good. I can't think of a time I've seen someone binge on sauerkraut, or I'm just going to eat 5 pounds of broccoli tonight. Does anyone sit down and just eat bags of salad? I'm going to sit down and eat 4 bags of salad. Plain. No one does that. So, like I said, is food addiction real? Yeah, because people turn to the same food over and over and over again, and that's what they tend to binge on. And that's basically what I wanted to wrap up here, is that food addiction is a very real addiction. Anyone that tells you otherwise clearly doesn't understand addictive behaviors, because, as I pointed out, if you can get addicted to the sensation of drinking water, or addicted to the sensation of chewing on toilet paper, then obviously you could get addicted to the sensation of potato chips, popcorn, chocolate, etc. If you can get addicted to a sensation, the sensation of chewing on gum, yes, you certainly could be addicted to the sensation of the texture of a given food or the taste of a given food. It's just the way people are. If we continue to deny this, we're not helping anyone. But here I am explaining the psychology behind it, and oddly enough, sometimes just simply understanding why you do things helps you not do them. So in a weird way, maybe this video helps people.